ladies. Welcome to episode 14 of the Young Monarchs podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in yet again. This is episode 14, and I'm super excited that we are still going, and we have even more awesome episodes on the way with tons of featured guests. If you're listening to the podcast on any of the platforms that it's hosted on, be sure to also check out our new YouTube channel, Young Monarchs, where you can watch live podcasts. And we also have weekly videos from everything from tips on marketing to beauty, fitness, and just lifestyle content on the YouTube channel. So today I'm joined by Angeula. She's an artist manager. She's a founding mother and chief executive officer and artist manager of The Winning Team, which is an Atlanta-based recording label. Through her work with artists and managers alike, she's assembled a team that brings new diverse sounds to the table. She's actually in school right now, getting a degree in entertainment business, and she plans to use this education as a platform to launch her business, The Winning Team, and also create unique opportunities for herself and the artists that she represents. I'm super excited that today we'll be talking about self-development and just her experience as a female in a male-dominated industry like music. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Be sure to follow us on the podcast, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, to stay up to date with current things that we have going on. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the interview. So, hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, so we met last fall, right, at a 3C event, and you had 3 of your artists with you, and they were all female, and they were really good. And I was taking pictures, and I was like, I need to follow this girl on Instagram or something. Like, when I finish this podcast plan, she's got to be on the podcast. But what have you guys, so pretty much I told everybody a little bit about you already, but let's go into kind of how you found that music was your path. Like, how did you get interested? How did you create the Winning Team, and what have you guys been doing?
Well, yeah, good question. So first, music wasn't always my path. Initially, really for as long as I could remember, until about a year ago, I wanted to be a psychiatrist for the military. And so I've just always been passionate about mental health. I'm the youngest of 3 siblings, so I have an older sister, an older brother, he's the middle one, and then myself. And so my older sister, she was diagnosed with autism. She has Asperger's, which is like, it affects her social interaction and her learning ability. And when she was diagnosed with that, I was like 11. So my mom, everything just shifted for us. So I just started learning as much as I could about it. And I was really, really interested in it. And I was like, this is exactly what I'm going to do. But yeah, music was never really in the picture as far as a career-wise. I had been a dancer, every sport you can think of, from gymnastics to swim team to volleyball, basketball, everything. I was always an athletic individual, but and music was always kind of there with me along the way. At one point in my life, I played 9 different instruments. I was in chorus at one point, and music was just...
What instruments did you play?
Yeah, I played primarily the French horn. I learned a little bit of the trumpet, the piano, the harmonica. My brother taught me the cello, the upright bass, and the guitar bass. And I learned a little bit of the flute, and I guess you can count the recorder if that counts. But yeah, so I was pretty fluid with, playing music and whatnot, but I never thought it would be like a career option for me. I always thought that I was going to be a psychiatrist for the military. So until about a year ago, that was a path. But on March 20th, 2019, I got in a really, really bad car accident. I was driving, and I had 2 of my closest friends in the car, and it was, by the grace of God, we survived, like, without a scratch. My car was totaled, the airbags deployed and everything. And after that, I just kind of had this midlife crisis, but I was only 19. So I was like, what exactly do I want to do? So I just decided to just take a leap of faith, and I reignited my journey with, God and just following his voice. And here we are. I just heard a couple of my friends, they just would send some music to me. They'd be like, hey, like, what do you think? Because I do have a leadership background with some of the work that I was doing at the time. And yeah, I was just giving some feedback, and they're like, hey, you're pretty good at this. Do you want to manage us? And I was like, why not?
Mhm.
So yeah, I went from just kind of something silly to something I take very serious now, so much to the point that I have actually transferred from Georgia State to the Los Angeles Film School, where I'm now studying business entertainment, so I could use that education as a platform for the record label.
Nice. So, and you said you can use the winning team as like your project in school. What have what has school taught you that you don't think you would have learned about the music industry? Because I know so many people say like you don't really need to have like the business background to be into it and to really thrive in it. But what are
Mhm.
you seeing are the differences that you wouldn't have been able to learn without school?
Yeah. Great question. So really, the whole concept with the winning team is that it is all started by us and it remains with us. I do not want one of the major record labels to buy us out one day and
Mm-hmm.
then they dictate what my artist can or cannot produce. I don't want them to say what I can and cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
From a very young age, I've always determined that I would be my own boss. I wasn't sure how that would look, but
Yeah.
I knew that I didn't really like listening to people.
Facts.
um, so yeah, so um we just kind of I'm sorry, I just forgot the question. I'm so sorry.
You're good. It's like what did you learn? Not what did
Oh,
you do?
yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. So yeah, so I've been learning about brand development, which is something super, super critical to the business. So many people think like you can just be yourself, which you can. But there's also, in order to gain a following and whatnot, everything has to be tailored to some extent. So I've been learning about brand development. I've been learning about business entertainment management. I have
Mm-hmm.
been learning about business financing, what it looks like if you need to get loans and whatnot, all the stuff that you need on the back end. I think anyone could necessarily be successful with this if they had the monetary resources to get
Yeah.
them to the people who already know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, then yeah, you kind of need to start back on your own and kind of build it from the ground up. So that's really what my school is teaching me. And I feel really honored to learn this stuff, especially at a young age, because I can take this with me and apply it, for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and it's like once you know it, like when you're in the music industry and you're meeting with these managers who may have like major artists or these major labels and brands, like you already have the education background to say like, well, actually, that doesn't really sound right. I think it should be like X, Y, and
Exactly.
Z. And I feel like that is
Mhm.
so important for anybody just to be like, just to know like what people are telling you, if that's like real or not in an industry where people are like, you can't trust nobody, you gotta do it on your own.
Exactly.
It's good to have
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. Hmm.
So what is kind of like your experience thus far being in like a male dominant industry? Like when you go out to shows and you have your artists with you, or when you guys are putting on your own shows or just networking, what is it? Is it like a different feeling, or do you have to present yourself a certain way or be a little bit more aggressive to get yourself out there?
Mm. So uh, hmm. so naturally I'm an aggressive person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't really like being told what to do. I'm a Virgo, for those who don't know. Shout out to the Virgos. Y'all already know Beyonce's a Virgo, so that just gives you kind of an example. I have to kind of move to the beat of my own drum, so I'm not really worried about what other people are kind of thinking of me in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But being in a male dominant industry as a woman, yes, you kind of have to have your guard up at all times. Especially just because the music industry is very grimy. Some people use drugs and whatnot to get into it. No judgment there. Do what you got to do, but it can be very dangerous for some people, especially women. So when we go out, we're always, sticking together as a pack. I always have a talk with them like, hey, if we're beefing or something right now, we're not beefing when we walk in, because you're my family. I have your back, you have my back, that's the type of thing. I don't know these people, they don't know us, but we need to move together as a unit. And we always have that understanding, just
Yeah.
to family-oriented environment. But it also does help to be a woman, I will say, just because people don't expect much from you. And that sucks, because, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you're incapable of things. But I like kind of being the underdog, because I walk in, all of us walking in looking good. Can I cuss? Can I cuss on this?
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, we're all walking in looking like bad bitches, and people just think, oh, we're here to listen to a male artist or something. But then it's great when my artists are able to go on stage, or I'm able to grab the mic and introduce them, and then they're just like, oh wow, these girls look good and they got talent. So it's kind of worked in our favor, but there is a safety caution, most definitely, just because when you're going out, you're wearing kind of tight-fitted things and whatnot, and I'm not going to change what I'm wearing for someone else, but I'm definitely going to be more protective, of course. Don't touch me.
Right.
You can look, but you cannot touch. Yeah.
Yes. I feel like in the times where, I don't know, for me, I've grown up with my mother always like telling me like, oh, cover up your chest or cover up your this or that. And so when I got into like entertainment marketing and I was doing red carpet events, women would have on their like tight dresses and their cute jeans and their heels, to where no more it was like I didn't have to necessarily cover up. But I find it kind of like a hard like line to balance when do you wear whatever you want, and when do you like consciously think about what you're wearing is what I have like a problem with. I know with like music events, I wear whatever I want. And then to your point, people are like amazed when you know how to speak and articulate your brand to somebody, or you're able to like introduce your artist and say like who this person is quickly, because you know that like exchange is quick. I feel like those are like amazing moments where you use like your sexy to be like, well, actually, you're going to listen to me and then you're going to follow these 3 minutes and check them out. Goodbye.
Exactly. And yeah, kind of like what you said, there is definitely a fine line. When I'm going out, I always try to keep in mind that I have a manager hat on, that I have a boss hat on. I will not be shy as far as like looking good and putting effort. Absolutely not. Because I love dressing up. But yes, you also want people to take you seriously. Like, you never know if you're going to meet with an investor or whoever can come across. So, and you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. So there's definitely a fine line. You don't want to be too skimpy, but luckily with the music industry, there's a spectrum. So you can kind of almost wear whatever to an extent. Yeah.
Like you can attract, and then you can give your opinion and then keep it on that surface level. So I also wanted to talk about like, what about those times where I've been to maybe like marketing networking events where they're like just creative based. So there's like film people, music people, art people, and men like may hit on you. Like, how do you stay like, for me, well, it's not for me. I notice in a lot of men in Atlanta, they will not take like a no for like a good answer. Like a no is not enough. Like I can be at this marketing event and say like, hey, I'm here for business, or hey, I'm here with my artist, or whatever you're here for. Even if you're just here to enjoy the event, but it's like the no is not taken as seriously as you would want it to, especially if it comes from someone after you've started talking like business with them. Then it's kind of like a little unfortunate, because then you're like, what are you supposed to do?
Exactly. Something that I had to learn very, very quickly was just to draw the line in the beginning. Guys will kind of, DM me and be like, hey, like, oh, you're so beautiful, da da da. And I'll look at their page and I'm like, you actually might be a good business resource. So I will stop it right there. Not interested, but let's work together. And if they choose to accept that, that is awesome. If not, it's literally the end of the relationship at that point. so many women, I think, I was just talking to my friend about this the other day. We do a lot of things because we're told to be polite.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how, society has constructed us and so forth and so on. But if I don't want to work with you, I'm not going to work with you. If I don't want to be with you, I'm not going to be with you. And it is literally that simple.
Yeah.
And sometimes guys do not take no for an answer, but that's where the conversation ends, period. You will get blocked. You will get, like, generally I'll have my brother with me sometimes as well. And I'm grateful for him. He is a 6'6", deep voice Black man. So if you're like too aggressive, it's nothing but, hey D, come here, so I can nip that in the bud, and I'm grateful for that. But I always just encourage women, like, if you don't feel comfortable, stop. Do not push it. Do not try to make something that it isn't, because you can put yourself in a very dangerous situation. And especially in Atlanta, oh my goodness, yes, the men are so aggressive, but it's okay. They're persistent. That's fine. Some of them will take no for an answer. So it's not everyone, and that's good.
Yeah. And I think, so what do you find like are the hardest things or the reasons why women find such a hard time getting established in the industry? I know from me kind of just being like outside looking in, I do try to stay like up to date on like current events, maybe things like the music industry is doing or how they're handling business. But you I have a mentor who grew up working with music labels. I think she worked at Def Jam for a really long time. She worked at, I think, Universal for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing like when I met her, she was at a marketing agency, but just seeing like her grind for business, how in my first meeting, it was my first job, and in my first meeting with the company, I just noticed how like she wasn't bossy, but she was like fierce. Like she was like, where is this? When is it due? Where is this? Where is what's going on with this? This is what we're going to do with this. And when I saw her in the meeting, I was like, you are the type of woman that I want to be. And I just kind of like stayed close to her. But I'm so like shy and reserved. But me just seeing that and seeing how even in a room with like other like Black men who are very strong in their own, it was like so like awesome to me to see how like not forceful, but like how just dominant she was and how confident she was in doing that. And to know like
Mm-hmm.
she kind of grew up in working with music. Kind of what is your opinion on what you're noticing as you're like just now getting in there, and one day you will be like you're established with your winning team and you're running your label, and pretty much that
Mm-hmm.
same type of energy I would feel like you would give off from my time knowing you. So what are you noticing are kind of like the hills that you're gonna have to climb over?
Yeah. Well, again, I come from a background in leadership. So just a little bit, by the time I was 19, I was director of operations for my Chick-fil-A. So I was like, I had a team of people. Like I was 19, and I literally had no, I was like, yeah, I was 19. Was I 18? No, 19. 19. Yeah, I was 19, and I had a team of people where the youngest person on my team was 27, and the oldest person was 42. So I'm literally 19, mentoring, guiding people who are literally, around my parents' age.
Mm-hmm.
And that experience really laid a thick foundation for me as far as like, my maturity level. You have to step it up in order to be a leader. And secondly, to it taught me not to make myself small. A lot of people, they do see my age first, or they'll see that I'm a woman or whatever, or a Black woman, but I move through life with a lens where everyone is simply a person. I see a white man and I don't feel inferior to him.
Yeah.
I see a Black man, I don't feel inferior to him, so forth and so on. So I think it also starts with how you view yourself and where you move forward with that. So with the music industry, I believe it's all about how really how you just carry yourself. I know with the winning team, I'm blessed to have women who have a similar mindset as I do. You know, we are all like, we're not going to take no shit from anybody. And I'm very grateful for that because, you know, there's power in numbers. But, you know, as their leader, I also have to lead by example in that mindset as well. So when I'm going to meetings and I'm meeting with people, and oftentimes they are men,
Mhm.
inevitably, I'm not backing down. Like, yes, you can give me a compliment, that's great, but let's get straight to the point, because I'm
Yeah.
not here to be your girl. I'm not here to entertain you, to flirt with you. Quite frankly, what you have going on has nothing to do with me. Let's talk
Right.
business. And if they continue to divert the conversation, again, we nip that in the bud right then and there. And
Mhm.
I think in doing that, you automatically end up creating a reputation for yourself of no nonsense and no bullshit. And that's really what I'm trying to establish here, because one thing I hate the most is my time being wasted. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Like, I could have been doing X, Y, and Z had I known, you know. So just moving forward with that mindset of just, I'm not taking it and I'm going to direct this conversation.
Mhm.
And just if that person is not willing to follow along or to guide along with you, just ending it dead in the tracks. I think that really helps, just, you know, with that boss like mentality.
Yeah. And to your point, how you said you like cut it off at the beginning. I think for me, I tried to like fill people out. If a man, if I meet somebody and you're a man and you want to work with me marketing wise, give you like three chances, three little strikes to rub me the wrong way in any
Yeah.
type of way or form, and this
Mhm.
partnership is over with. I know one
And that's
person that I've been meeting with in the past like week or two is on strike too. They got one more strike before I'm just like, all right, this is not gonna work. But I try
yeah.
to like help people and kind of understand what they want to do. And I see like how serious are you about the
Mhm.
business that you want to do? Like how
Yeah.
serious are you working with me because I'm about business? And I did want to ask you, like, with marketing and entertainment marketing, I've been around um like talent, and I've had to just kind of like make sure it's known like I'm here to work. Like this is my
Mhm.
job. This is entertainment marketing. Like it looks fun to a lot of people, but to me it's like this is what I want to do for my whole life. Like I
Right. And it's
want
a lot
to
of work.
be yeah, like I want to be a role model. I want to be, in magazines for the campaigns that I build and the people that I work
Mhm.
with. So I'm not going to let you, sir, or anybody else like stop me or put any type of bad light on me to like
Mhm.
not be able to get there, because it sucks as a woman that that's also something you have to think about.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, it really does. But yeah, just keeping consistent with drawing that line. That's really how you do it.
So how do you, with being out a lot, working in your industry, working with your artist, how do you make time for yourself? How do you stay like positive and level headed throughout everything that you do?
Oof. Well, there was definitely one point in time where I was just extremely busy. I mean, I had potentially like 3 different teams I was running at one point, because I am fortunate enough to be working with the winning team and have started that. But I also have my own personal endeavors. I, with a colleague from college, she started a foundation called SAME. It's Students Advocating for Mental Health Exposure, and I'm also the chief operating officer for that. So there's one point in time where we were busy going to business meetings after business meetings with that, trying to take things off with the winning team, also
Yeah.
having to go to work full time and going to school full time and having a relationship and trying to have a social life. So it was a lot. It was a lot. And I didn't know that I was, burning out. You know, a lot of people just think burnout is really apparent, but it's not. Like,
Mhm.
it can just kind of creep up on you. And one day, like, you're just not okay. And one day you're just like, I don't want to keep doing all this. So something that I had to do was just really take a step back kind of from everything. Um, Also with being a Virgo, I really kind of put other people's needs before myself. And I love that the most about me, but that's also my biggest fault, because I oftentimes neglect what I want, or I don't even consider it at all. So something that I've been doing the past 6 months especially is really focusing on, my personal development. And people who I've been listening to is Jay Shetty. His podcast On Purpose is incredible. I highly recommend it. He has incredible topics from self-forgiveness to stop expecting things from other people, things like that. And it really was like a guideline for me. But more importantly, just spending more time with God.
Yeah.
I'm not someone who's super, super religious. I'm not going to be like, hey, the Bible says this, this, and that. You're supposed to do this, this, and that. I believe each one of us has our own relationship with the higher power,
Yeah.
and it's unique in its own fashion. So I'm not going to be Bible thumping anyone or anything. I just know that I have faith and I believe in a higher power, and his name is God. And I just go with that, and really just talking with him more and more, and offering myself a lot of some self-forgiveness. Really kind of just curated a routine for me just to kind of start going with the flow of things.
Yeah.
I think, especially as just a woman, we hold ourselves to such a high standard of just perfection. And whenever we mess up, it's like the world is over. Like we're not shit. We couldn't do it anyways. Like it's just this pile of negativity. But someone once told me, what if you flip the switch and just gave a pile of positivity? So something I started doing was anytime, I'm feeling low or sad, I just say, it just is what it is. There's nothing I can do about what has happened, but moving forward, I can, kind of change my mindset.
Yeah.
And I start just naming the things that I'm most grateful for. And that automatically starts lifting up my spirits, and just keep trying. No one is perfect. We're not going to always have it right. But I believe if your intentions are good, you did the best that you could, and you kind of gave it your all. I think it'll just work out in your favor. We just have to give ourselves that little bit of grace. But that's just been my personal journey when it comes to self-development.
Yeah, I agree with you because I do notice because when I try to have a routine,
Yeah.
and I try to have that routine start with like praying in the morning and just like reading the Bible a little bit. But I notice like when I don't like take that time in the morning or throughout the day to have that moment to where like my thoughts get like crazier, then it gets more like, what are you doing? Like you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. But when I like keep steady with just having like that, either that time for me and that time for me and God, like on the patio, eat
Right.
breakfast, whatever it is, my days go so much better.
Right.
Like my days go better, my mind is better, and I can really like tackle the things that I want to do without being like afraid or without thinking that something's not gonna go right.
Yeah, morning routines, I could not advocate for them enough. Personally, my morning routine is, I'll wake up, and I'm trying to start. I've started a couple times, but I'm really trying to stick with it this time. But there's this thing called the 90-91 rule. It was produced by Robert Sharm. He is an incredible self-help coach. He's worked with celebrities like Shaquille O'Neal, a bunch of other basketball players, and some of the world's most famous people like Oprah, billionaires, etc. So, right, shout out to Oprah. But yeah, so the 90-91 rule is where you just focus on one topic for 90 days, and you spend 90 minutes each day on that topic. And so doing that, I just make sure I'm not doing anything work related, because I will do work later that day, but it's just something for my personal development. So for me, that might be reading a book, that might be journaling, that might be meditating. And if I'm being honest, it may include smoking a blunt, like, just really just taking that time to
Relax.
myself and relax. Exactly. And yeah, like you said, the quality of your day is just, it improves so much when you really just take that time for yourself and you decide how the day is going to go, rather than letting the day drag you along and you're just like, oh my God, I'm just playing catch up.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. So with everything that you've learned so far with being in your industry, what are some things that you would tell to a girl who's like just getting started, or for someone who's kind of like apprehensive but would be interested?
Mm-hmm. I would say stay true to yourself. When I was a kid, much like most other girls, I wanted to be just like Beyonce. I wanted to be her, sing like her, dance like her, everything. But as I got older, I realized, just through her interviews and through her music, Beyonce is just herself. No one else can be like Beyonce. And so I took that concept and really applied it to myself and realized, I could try to be Beyonce, but I will always fall short because there's only one Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even want that comparison. But, if I really focused in and was really myself, just the opportunities just presented themselves. I mean, like this, for instance, so I would encourage any girl who's looking to join this industry not to conform. There's so much beauty in individuality and in uniqueness, and really tap into that. We all are kind of just wanting to fit in and be loved, and you still can be and be accepted, but really try to focus on what you want to do and start there. If people want to be on board with that, that is awesome. And if they don't, keep searching until you find someone who does. But just know that you are more than enough, just you alone. You don't have to do all these alterations unless you want to.
Right.
There's so much pressure nowadays for plastic surgery. Everyone wants to have this ideal body, and it may not be their body type. Or bleaching their skin or whatever the case may be. But I say if it's conflicting with who you are as a person, do not do it. Do not do it for anyone. Be true to yourself at the end of the day, and the opportunities will present themselves, and the quality of life that you'll live will just be so much better. Like you won't have the stress of just living up to other people's expectations. You can just be yourself, and yeah, that's more than enough.
Yeah, I feel like in the way the world is going, there will eventually be more value on originality and just like being yourself and having like your own body. That could be like a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
Like having your own stuff. But I think that's like amazing just to like, I notice more like with me just being okay with being myself and not caring like how anybody else feels, things go so much better, and you will like get opportunities that you never thought would ever come your way. Like before, nothing was coming your way, but as soon as you just be like, okay, fuck it, I don't give a damn what happens anymore. Right. So for this week's Get Your Head in the Game segment, we have a TED Talk by Adre Moultrie, who is a multidisciplinary music artist specializing in performance art, creative direction, and digital design. As a host of a hit radio show and podcast called Black Voices in the Bay Area, AJ works to stimulate meaningful dialogue between groups all over the Bay Area, and she also performs music to inspire diverse audiences to heal and empower within their individuality. She also combines her passion as a creative artist and a community organizer to inspire others to use their own creativity for the good of the community.
Women reclaiming space in the music industry has led to a global conversation and critique of us centering our sexuality in the music we create. They're like, why do women talk about sex in their music, Well, I use the phrase reclamation of sexuality because male artists have always centered women in their music. Our beauty, our bodies, our entire being has been one of the main sources of inspiration for society's mainstream music since the beginning of time. Critics have seemed relatively comfortable with the hypersexualization of women by male artists, but are discontent with us reclaiming that energy for ourselves and rechanneling it toward the empowerment of women and girls. Rechanneling it toward the empowerment of all women and all girls. I can attest that once I became more intentional about the music I consumed, there was an evolution of my internal and external voice. The dialogue I had with myself and others was no longer dictated by that code of conduct my womanhood seemed to attribute to me. With music working to shape the ideas and behaviors of society, the woman's reclamation of space in the music industry has the power to expose a desensitized world to the realities of our experience in a female body. Through my own music, I have witnessed firsthand the impact that we can have. So, I encourage all women to keep on creating.
So during the Get Your Life segment, we pretty much share one thing in our journey that's going well, and then one thing that we're still struggling with. So one thing for me that is going well in my journey of self-development is me staying consistent. Um, I feel like my agenda has helped me do that more than my want to at the moment. But I think I've been really consistent with like reaching out to people, sending emails like I've been doing, just staying on track with everything I think needs to be done. But I am still struggling with not being so hard on myself and knowing when to like stop working for the day, because I'll give myself like 5 to 10 tasks every single day, but I'll be mad if I don't like get all of these things done, even though I never took into consideration like some of these could take 2 hours, some of these could take 1 hour. I was just like, all of these need to be done. So I'm still like struggling with just being like, I'll get to it tomorrow, or I'll get to it whenever I can.
Yeah. For me, the one thing that I have been doing that I actually probably need to improve on a little bit would be I guess probably my self-discipline. I was just like you in the sense of just having a list of things and wanting to get done and starting that as well. But I've since now shifted to a bit more grace for myself, which is great. So I would say that's probably a good thing, that I know like, okay, if I don't finish it today, I'll get to it tomorrow. And that's completely fine. And I literally let it go in that moment because, again, I'm a perfectionist. I have held myself to such a high standard that I've gotten crippling anxiety from it. Like, I mean, like really feeling like I am just not it. So as I've really been able to filter through that, I've just now, as a good thing, just kind of been able to give myself grace, but sometimes a bit too much. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm so unmotivated today. It's okay if I don't do enough. And I'm like, is it really? So, there's a balance to it. But yeah, I'm learning and I'm growing with it. But I'm kind of liking where I'm at so far. So
Nice. So for the motivational tea segment, did you have like a story, like a positive story of when you kind of got out of your comfort zone and did something that you wouldn't normally have done? Or do you have any type of positive message you want to leave behind before you start kicking off with everything you got going on?
A story, man. Oh my gosh. Yes, actually. Oh Lord. Okay. So this actually goes back to, I think, being a woman in the music industry. So there was this guy that we were working with. We'll say his name is Bob.
Okay.
Right. So we were working with Bob in the studio, and he was in the beginning excellent. I mean, like the perfect dream. Like, he was a beat maker. He was really, really serious about his business. He was always like just really encouraging and seemed very knowledgeable about the music industry. I personally thought that I could learn a thing or two from him. However, Bob, literally after maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 sessions with my artist, he kind of started putting a focus on his personal career, which I totally understand, but not at the cost of my artist. Absolutely not. So as he was doing that,
but what was he doing? Was he like using the time for himself?
Yes, using the time for himself rather than for my artist. And it came to a point where I was just like, okay, can we just get our tracks? I just need someone else to work with, whatever. Also, ladies, I have to tell you, if you ever work with anybody, do not leave the studio without your track outs and your stems. Do not. It is such a hassle. Oh my goodness. And someone can steal your music. Luckily he did not, but it literally took potentially a month and a half for me to get the music back, and I am calling him every day. I'm texting him every day. He is literally like, oh, I got you, would ghost me. And one time he had me pull up. Mind you, he lives in West Bubblefuck and I live over here, so I'm driving an extra 45 minutes dedicated to get my track outs for my artists and whatnot, and he stood me up. And that happened at least twice. I mean, talk about being infuriated. Like, Also, I have a bad attitude, so I'm just like, you know what? Do I really cuss this man out, or do I act professional? So I chose to continue the professional route because I did not want my artist to be impacted by my shortcomings because of my anger, my frustration. But anyway, so going through that process, it was absolutely hell, like one of the worst things ever. And all in all, he wanted to put out his own album, which he did. I don't know if anyone listened to it personally. I'm not even trying to be like that, but who knows? But whether they did or did not, I did not appreciate how he just kind of let me, I was just a commodity at one point. And I kept sending him messages like, you are not taking me seriously. Like, this is unacceptable. This is completely unprofessional. And, just literally met with nonchalant attitude. Like, that's unacceptable. So that was one of the worst experiences. But what I learned from there is that, I'm not, no one, no one is going to walk all over me or anything in that sense. And just moving forward with a more clear mindset and knowing I have to be in control in some aspect, especially when it comes to my artists, especially in this industry, because people are grimy. I'm very thankful that Bob did not steal our music. Shout out to Bob for that if you hear this. But yeah, we're never working with you again, as you can already tell. So yeah, it was crazy, but going through that, I learned so much in knowing that it's important to stand your ground. Do not feel bad about it. And sometimes you have to pick and choose your battles, because again, I was like this close to cussing him out. Not even just cussing him out, but pulling up on him, like the whole 9 yards type thing. But what does that solve? At the end of the day, I still needed to get the music from my artist, and I held true to that. So that was amazing.
I love that story. That is a great story. So if everybody listening to the podcast, I want to hear like more motivational tea stories from people who listen, but it's like just girls sharing like experiences where they had to like pull up on somebody and be like, business is not being handled the way that it should be handled right now. Like, I want to hear more stories of what people are doing like that. So people can send them to the Young Monarchs podcast Instagram. You guys can DM me directly at Miss Tiara XO on Instagram. But I pretty much wanted to give you time now to talk about everything you have going on, from the organization that you're working with to the winning team. And then you also have a video that we're recording this episode on Friday. So you guys have one of your artists has a promo video that's out. And if you want to, I'll give it to you, and then you can intro your video.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, other things I'm working on right now, like I said, students advocating for mental health exposure. That is a project I am so passionate about. Again, I was motivated to become a psychiatrist because of my sister's mental health disability. And ever since then, I've always been passionate about mental health, going through my own struggles with depression and anxiety. I will always advocate for mental health. It needs to be taken as seriously as physical health is. And so many people forget that. People just don't want to talk about it. But I want to open, I want to be a part of the conversation, essentially. So you guys can follow our page at About Same. That is on Instagram. I believe we have a Twitter. Not quite sure. I will get back on that. But yeah, that is a project that we're doing, starting the initiative with Georgia State University. So if anyone goes to Georgia State, check out Same coming in the fall. We we have now have a partnership with the University of Michigan, as far as like getting adequate healthcare services for college students, because that is the second leading cause of death for people from 18 to 24 is suicide. Something completely preventable, but if you don't have the help, it's really hard to really prevent that. So yes, y'all check out Same. You can also go to my personal page and I'll talk more about that. But with the winning team, yes, I have an incredible team. I have a chief operating officer. Her name is Trin. You can follow her at Trin Tings, TRINTINS. She is kind of like my right-hand man, and really gives me some perspective. She is also one of my artists. But as of right now, we're both just focusing on the business side. So I'm really thankful to have her. I also manage Nia. You can follow her at It's Nia, I believe. Oh gosh, I can never spell her at correctly. I believe it's ITSS.NIAA. Hold on, let me get that verbatim. It's ITSS.NIIA. Nia just dropped a music video that will be out now by the time this is out. It's called Call. Please check it out. You can go to the Winning Team page and find out more about that on our YouTube. I'm really, really excited. She's the first one to drop a music video with us. So this has been a monumental moment, something we've been working towards for quite some time. So very proud of her and very proud of the progress that we've made. And she will be dropping a project over the next couple months. She's still recording, so I don't have a drop date for you guys. And then lastly, Isis. Her Instagram is at Isis the Terrorist, exactly how it's spelled, ISISTHETERRIORIST. I hope I spelled that right. But yes, Isis will be dropping her project on 4/20. It's called Say No More. This is like her little trilogy, her EP, something she's been working on for well over a year. We had so many obstacles that prevented this, but I believe in God's timing. So I'm really, really excited that this is coming out. Y'all can follow the Winning Team page. We'll have like little promo videos and stuff coming out. We were supposed to have a music video, but with everything going on with Corona, that is postponed for the time being. But yeah, we're just focusing on dropping music for you guys. And eventually, once all this clears up, we will be back in the clubs doing performances. Like, you guys can come out, celebrate, dance with us, laugh with us, the whole 9 yards. But until then, stay home, stay safe.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. If you guys are watching on YouTube, I'm going to play Nia's promo video after this episode. But if not, make sure you check out the Young Monarchs YouTube, and it'll even be on the Young Monarchs Instagram page this week. But I hope you guys have a really great week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Angelia, thank you so much for joining. I'm super excited for everything that you guys have going on, and I'm ready for us to be able to get back outside. And I want to check out you guys' shows this summer.
Yes, please do. Thank you so much for having me.
Nice. So we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Gave her a call, I've been running it up. And she said she don't drink, but wanna sip from my cup. Every night I'm going hard, I don't get no fuss, I just came to fuck.